Before we start doing our session and getting our final mix going on, I can just check out everything in the session, make sure it's correct, make sure I have all these levels right. If I want to see in my mix window, let's go back here to mix window, and we'll see it here. Yep. And let me test a little bit at the top. This sounds about right. So what I want to do first, before I do anything, is I want to make sure I've got the final mix, and I want to get a brand new session. I want to save it and call this the final mix. Now, we'll label the final mix. It'll be saved into that session folder, so I'll know this is the final mix for this particular song. It's a great way to start out. It gets everything in perspective. You know where your tracks are. You know when you pull this session up, it has everything that you needed, and what you did need won't be in here as well. It's important to have and to rename that final mix and have that session in your session folder. I like to do this a lot when I'm working with other engineers. I may have to send them the files so I can give them the final mix and the files that go along with the final mix. Now once I've got that together, I want to make sure all the tracks are labeled properly. So I run here through my tracks. If I want to label something, I could snap on it like that, click on it twice there. And I may want to label it again. I can call it snare like that. And you can see it abbreviates as it gets shorter in the mix window here. I can press Option Command M on my Mac, and of course I can expand my mix view. And I can check out through the scroll bar here. And scroll across the bottom and make sure all the tracks are labeled properly and where they're going. Now besides labeling my tracks and making sure they're labeled properly, I like to also make sure that I have this track system I have normally set up. Well, as you can see here, I have a master fader here, and then all my sends and effects returns, returns are right over here, as you can see. You can see this little arrow pointing down right here. These are auxiliary tracks that I have here, where these are sends. You can see like here we have a D-verb, here's a chorus, here's another verb, and here's a long delay. So I've got several effects set up already, and you'll see as I scroll to the left side of my mix window, we also have right here, we've got the kick, snare, hi-hat, we got a bass, we got some pianos, we got a piano effect, you see. So these are effects, as you can see here. This is a piano effect for this particular piano track. And as I use this effect for the track, what I'm doing here with this piano track, I'm sending a send. So see this piano here? I have a send, and it's returning right here into this auxiliary track. See that? And we get our sound out from there. And so that's an effect that I use. And I take my keyboard and set them right there. So it's not like an effect like it is on a return when I'm using reverb, delay, or chorus. Okay, so I keep that next to that track because these effects are specifically for this particular instrument, the keyboards. So I have my setup where I have the drums, there's the bass right there, the piano, then we have this little wah effect, the Fender Rhodes, and then we have this little guitar here, and the effect for the wah. See, so the effect for the wah I prefer to be, instead of clicking on that like that, I'll take it and I'll drag it right over here to my wah. See, we can move our tracks, so that's where it should be. And once it's there, we can see we have the wah, then the wah effect, the Rhodes, then the Rhodes effect. We have our guitars right there, and with a little effect, we have our lead vocal here, and our background vocals right there. And next I have our fader. So I have a system, which is really cool to have your own system so it's easier to find a track. It makes it easier also when you're trying to mix. So you know where something's at and where your effects are. You want to find out where it's at. I know that for me, it's on the right-hand side. I know any effect for that particular instrument is right next to it. As you can see here, piano with the piano effect right next to it right there. It's important to be really organized about this. I like to do also is clean unused tracks. I got a track I got here, and I don't like it, it's unused, and I see it, and I have tracks, bring some other tracks I might have out in the session right now. And I want to see if it's unused, am I using it? I want to get rid of any unused tracks. Here, for example, I don't want to use this label. I can relabel something as well. So it's important to keep everything clean in the session. Make sure it's perfectly in sync. You know what you want to do with it, what you're keeping, what you're not keeping in your session. So if something unused, I'll get rid of it. And what I also like to do is keep my memory locations down. So I'll go here and I'll press Command, and I'll press the plus sign or the equal sign there on my Mac. And I'm here now in my command view. Now here in command view, let me clear something out here I don't need to see. And one more thing here, this I won't need. Okay, good. So I'm here in my command view, as you can see here. I have my chorus, the verse, chorus 2. I'll shrink this down a little bit. And we've got our bridge, chorus 3, our bridge, and then we have our outro. Now each one of these is a section in the song, obviously. But sometimes I want to jump to them quickly to do a little edit in that particular section. I may want to bring the drums out here or something here or add some sort of effect or change the volume level. You never know. So what I'll do normally is I'll set that up already. I'll press Apple 5 here on my Mac, and we're into the memory location, as you can see right here. The locations also have set up for them zooms. I can go here and press this one here, and it's a particular zoom comes up. See that? It zooms right in. It says right here, this is the verse 1. Now, it also works. I press period 2 period right there, or period 1 period. I'm right there in the first chorus, or period 3 period, and it takes you right there. So if you've got a keyboard that has the numbers on the right-hand side, the number pad section on the right-hand side of your keyboard, I put these commands right in, and I'm right there. Takes me to the chorus. If I want to go to bridge, and my bridge is going to be 6, so I'll press period 6 period. And the bridge is right there. Back to the chorus, back to the bridge, see? So you can get anywhere you want to get, and you'll see also this little line here blinking here in the mix, and that shows you we're right there. I can press a button, and I'm in the bridge. So it's important to have your keyboard commands down, of course. It makes it easy to get around the system, actually. And when you've got your memory locations in, you can get to anywhere in the song that you need to. And it's really important to do that also. Now we've got our show and hide here as well. What I like to do is show and hide some tracks I'm using or not using. I can even set up memory locations, just use specific groups. So I may just want to work with one group or not that group at all, and work my memory location around that. And that's an easy way to do it, actually. Just pick a group you want to use. I want to group just the keyboards. I just want to use just one group of keyboards with that in that one section. And I can set my memory location for that also. Now, another thing I like to do also as well before I get started is have my comments in. I may have a comment about a specific track I want to work with. I want to fix something in a couple of tracks. So I'll go ahead and comments, and I'll say, so now this is the wah effect track. Wah effect. I can scroll up here. I'm going to see what I'm using. I got a delay and an enhancer. So I'm going to make sure I'm going to show I got a delay. Right down here. Oops, go to here. And delay effect. So I let myself know right here that what's on this wah effect, I delay and effect. So this wah comes up, and it's in the track. I know where it's at. I may want to, so let me go back to period 1 period. I'll turn this off. Turn that piano off. So I notice I have a delay and effect there. And this is good to tell yourself at least some notes in the comment section. That way you'll know any problems that do come up. You can solve the problems, or you can say, okay, look, I'm going to come back and do this, or this is what's here. And it's important to be organized before we start mixing and putting everything in here. It gets to be a little headache. Now, I want to talk about one more thing here before we end this little lesson on prepping up the mix. I want to talk about the I.O. It's important to make sure you have your I.O.s named and labeled. Your I.O.s here are your inputs and outputs. I'm going to go here to Setup. We go to our I.O. window. Open it up. I'll drag it in the middle so you can see it. And you'll see here I've got stuff already lined up here. I've got names. I can pull this 1 and 2 off. I know what that is already, so I'm going to put it here, and there you go. I can put this little triangle here on the left, and you'll see it's left and right. See that? So each one of these is labeled. I'm using these right now. I'm using 1 through 14. So this is 1, 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You see here corresponding here, right here in the buses, right? There's 11, 12, and here's 13, 14. It's left and right. Each one's left and right. Once I label it, it goes, okay, this is piano effect left, piano effect right. So I want to make sure that these are labeled, because when I go back to the mix, I'm looking at my mix right here. I also got my drum verb here, you know. These are sends. I'm sending to the left side here. See that? Seems I'm going to the left. So I can go back here and say, I want to send it to the full mix. See that? That's important to know. So you know what you're doing, where everything's going to. You know, well, that's the drum mix, not for sure. This is the drum mix. And I know this is the drum verb for the drums. So I have some drum verb mixing with this piano verb here. See? So a little verb from the piano is going to the drum verb as well. So I can see what's going on here in the mix. Whereas I have this Y effect here. You see that? So everything's labeled. You know what's what, where it's at. You get there, you say, okay, that's what's here. This is the drum verb. This is the reverb for the drum verb. This is the vocal chorus. This is the chorus for the vocals. This is the reverb for the vocals. This is the delay for the vocals. And we know where everything's at. It's important to be organized before you start mixing. So if your I/O set up, we're going to make sure that we have our tracks labeled properly, and we're going to make sure our regions are labeled. So I go back here to regions. That's one more thing I'll talk about here is a region. Each region has its own name to it, you know? And I want to make sure that's that region. I can click on it right here, and I will see it. Let's see, grab this region. There we go. And we'll see it here. Let me close this memory location window. And I'll drag this out a little bit more, and we can see that region right there. See that? I can drag this region, and the regions are labeled. And we know which region is which. I click on it, and I know each region is labeled. I can even go in and relabel that region if I like to. And so if you want to relabel regions, you can at this point also, just in case you want to have a specific name for a region. That's good to do as well before you start mixing. So we're organized before we start mixing this track up.